Hi, here is Markku Wilenius, and I'm going to talk to you about the 4 top skills for our century. Obviously, to start to think about what are those top skills of the century, you need to think about how much actually world has changed ever since the last century. We have gone through unprecedented globalization and connectivity that has spread throughout the world in the last 70 years or so. Of course, not yet all the parts of the world are fully connected, but quite a lot of the world and its people are now connected in such a ways that nobody could have imagined that only 50 or even 30 years ago. Now, this unprecedented exponential growth has also meant that the world has changed in terms of what is our relationship to the most important source of our wealth, which is obviously nature. The natural resources that we have used has a lot to play how we have been able to create this type of wealth, this type of standard of living that we are enjoying today. And also the role of the technology, of course, is quintessential here. Politically, I would say we have been converging in terms of the different ideologies. Differences still exist, but by and large, we have been seeing the gradual move to more democratic, to more equal societies, even if there are lots of things still that we need to tackle on that front. All in all, we could say that societies have changed. Also, people have changed, not only how they are able to gain new knowledge in terms of different learning schemes, education, but also that the values of the people have also changed as a result of this fast growth. So all of these different developments have to be taken into account when we think about the skills of this century and not the last century. So I find that there are 4 particular skills, and the first of those skills, I call them planetary living skills. Now, we all know that we are only living in this planet. Some guys like Elon Musk wants to take us to the Mars, but even if we go there, only there's gonna be a small colony. We are tied on this Earth. So in this century, we need to be learning how to deal with this one planet we have. And we know also that based on the different studies have been making, we are currently using 4th or 5th planet instead of using 1, meaning that we are eating from the load all the time. So our natural resource base is diminishing in a radical way. At the same time, we are also having a huge global impact on the climate. The weather is getting warmer, more extremes, the weather patterns changing, and so forth and so forth. So it really asks us to realign the way that we lead our lives here in such a way that it also respects our natural resources, because that's something that we're gonna leave for our future generation. For that, the particular important is to understand that we have to readjust the way that we are building our current societies, what type of the materials we are using, what type of the energy we are using. And we are in the beginning of that road, but we haven't got actually very far. We're still using almost 80% fossil fuels as a source of the energy in the world. Most of the ecosystems of the world are either in a state of degradation or in danger to become one. And so there has to be a massive realignment in all of the societies. And individually, it also asks us, how do we, instead of just taking from the nature, also contributing, how do we contribute to the nature? How do we deal with that issue? And we need to find a new ways and new strategies that actually we are replenishing the life here on Earth instead of taking it away. The species extinction is a known phenomenon that is happening currently, and we need to turn that type of detrimental development around. And for all of us, it's sort of a means that we need to become much more aware and conscious what type of the relationship we have with that nature, and that in our everyday practice, but also in kind of our strategy, whatever we do, whatever business we run, and what type of the interest we have, those need to be realigned so that we are, at the end of the day, we see that we are contributing more. So some simple things, just like how to plant trees. Planting a tree is always a deed where you are actually not only growing a tree but sequestrating carbon from the atmosphere, where that is all too much at the moment. And if we all would be doing this planting of the trees, we would be much better off in terms of balancing this current over amount of the climate, of the detrimental greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and tied more to the ground and into the trees and the plantations. So that's the type of the skill that we need to start exercising right from the beginning in our schools, in our life, from young to old age. We need to be tuned to that and find different ways how we contribute instead of taking away. The second skill that I want to talk about in here is the complexity skill. And complexity skill means that we can deal in a rational and intelligent way with our ever more complex environment that particularly comes out of this realm of technology that creates us a new types of the channel in which we can into which we can participate. Now, complexity skills actually ask us to be more attentive. How do we focus? How do we be attentive in a time when there are new and new, ever more new demands that ask for a time from us? So we are slicing our time. This is a phenomenon that sociologists knows well. And all these media, social media and other medias, also asking for our attention. Now, in this type of the world, you need to start practicing some sort of norms and rules that enables you to be focused, to have attention span sufficient to accomplish even complicated tasks. And that is also something that we need to start training, even as for the young children, starting from there. Just because if we are not training them, what happens is that the world sort of suggests that we are sort of just dividing our times with countless different things, and we cannot actually accomplish those tasks that are set to us if they are demanding and takes a lot of time and attention. So this is something that I see, that this complexity around us, which is increasing because of the new technologies, because of the increasing amount of connectivity, is really asking us to build a much more conscious relationship with the information that comes from the outside. And of course, part of that has also to do with how we can make sure that the information that we receive is trustworthy information and not kind of fake information that is increasingly spread also in the internet. The third skill I want to talk about has to do with the creativity. Creativity in a sense means that we are using those type of the skills that makes us to actually to see new solutions to the new and old problems. And in our world, we have a sort of a tendency to just to repeat the way we have used to do, or our previous generations have used to do. In fact, if you look at the world, we are highly part dependent in most of the stuff that constitutes the societies, particularly the economy, is very much like that. And at the same time, we know that we need to find new solutions. We need to find new ways of dealing with these old and new problems, whether it has to do with our relationship with nature, whether it has to do with how to deal with technology, or social justice, or cultural expression. So that asks from the creativity, and we need to train that creativity, because it's like a muscle. If you don't use that, it is dormant and not very useful for us. The very last skill for this century that I want to bring up is what I call the empathy skills. Now, empathy skills is really, what is it asking from us is to step out from our own shoes and put the shoes of the others, and look how things look from there. So to be able to understand how other people that are different to us, have different backgrounds, have different cultural frames, can look at the world, and we need to understand them much better in this world where people are migrating and flowing from one place to another much more than we did in the past. In fact, you can interpret the whole history of civilization that whenever there has been leaders, and not only leaders but all the employees, to make them a better team members, to make them understand better what are the intentions of the others, to be able to negotiate in a better way and find solution that fits for everybody. So those 4 skills, planetary living skills, complexity skills, creativity skills, and lastly empathy skills, are those 4 quintessential skills of our century.